Hi, what's happening, people? Damn, warm day in the UK again. We're back in another video. Of course I am. I'm not lacking right now, man. What's that? 5-6 day stream streak? That makes sense. This is the thing here, guys. I always tell you this. I don't like my curtains being closed, but guess what? The sun is brazy, and unfortunately, I have to always close them. Wish I could show you the daylight, but I just simply can't. I can't. You can. You can't. Bit everybody in the chat, man. Everyone in the chat. On the road to 2,000 subs. Everybody in here. Look who showed up, lol. Be up, J Show. Been a minute, J Show. Talk to me today, man. Nina's coming on. Should be here any minute now. She's on for a bit. So once this chat gets warm, we'll see what I'll go on for everybody in the building. We'll talk on Chelsea as well. And yeah, man, it's interesting today, man. A lot of topics from the weekend. So let's see what's happening. Be up, Nina, in the building every single time.
Hello, Chaz. How you doing?
Been a minute, Nina, man. We have a shoot together.
It has. It's been a time. Yeah, it's been some time. How are you?
I'm okay personally, but Chelsea, man, up and down, leaving things till last minute. It's just typical, innit? Like, it's mad. What are you saying?
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, no, I mean, I'm just a little bit annoyed that it's come down to the very end to decide our fate with Champions League, because this really should have been something that, you know, we kind of grinded out earlier in the season. We've always had these moments that we just let slip away. And I keep saying, like, we kept giving a lifeline when other teams dropped points. We had winnable games that we just didn't win. And it's now come to this situation where we're looking at our last two games as must wins. And that's a lot of pressure. And I know a lot of people will argue that Man United is a winnable game, but it's never that straightforward. And it just annoys me that we've let it come to this. But yeah, absolutely must win games.
Yeah, and typical Chelsea, that Nina said perfectly. For some reason, since what? The Champions League win, it feels like everything has been last minute, unlucky.
Yes.
Like, was it do it, die, whatever the phrase is called. I feel like every single time get to the end of the season or pivotal point of the season, it's like we either do it or we don't. There's no like middle ground when we're happy. It's either we've won or we haven't. The Leicester final, then you got Liverpool finals, then you got top four last day, then even last season we were in the 5-6 game unbeaten run and we still didn't make it because Manchester United won the FA Cup. I don't know what it is. It's like we sacrificed our club for that Champions League. If that's how it feels like to me. Do you know what I mean? So hopefully it is hope. Let's ask you a question actually. Let's get straight into it. What did you think about Newcastle? Because obviously a lot of Chelsea fans thought some of them were upset. Some of them were like, Maresca's style of play. He's the reason why we went 1-0 down. Even though Jackson got the red card. A lot of people blaming Jackson for the red card, saying if he didn't get a red card, he could have got a draw. How did you see the game in retrospect? Like, how did you see the game? Do you think it was on Jackson? Do you think it was on Maresca? What do you think?
I actually don't think there was much else Maresca could have done on Sunday. I think he set us up well. I think conceding in 2 minutes always changes the game. Do you know what I mean? It's like whatever we set out to do, it was almost instantly stamped on because of the goal we conceded so early on. So it's almost like that kind of rattled us as a team, and whatever kind of game plan we set out with, that changed minute 2. So it's very difficult actually to then go and continue as you set out. So that was really unfortunate. I actually truly think that if we hadn't conceded that early, the course of the game would have been completely different. I think going into it, I never really expected us to win against Newcastle, if that makes sense. But, you know, I did think that we could definitely maybe go away with a point. And it is a little bit, what's the word? In hindsight, it is a bit disappointing because watching us play in that second half makes me believe that maybe with 11v11, we could have potentially walked away with a draw. But yeah, to be fair, St. James's Park is always a difficult place. I always say the scale leans towards them when they're at home, always, no matter which informed team they play. So it's a bit naive to think that you can go there and walk away with everything. But I think Jackson certainly limited our chances of at least getting the draw in that one. So that's on Jacko for sure. But in terms of Maresca, not much to say, not much else he could do. I think he actually managed the game pretty well after getting a man sent off. So yeah, that one definitely was on Jackson.
Yeah, I agree with everything you just said there. I think the first 2-3 minutes we've seen our mentality of our team isn't the greatest in these
Hmm.
competitions, and that's because of lack of experience and being in these situations. And it showed in the first half now of the game. By then, once you concede early, it's not too late. But like you said, who goes to St James's Park and
Mm.
win like that? It's just very difficult. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, because we conceded that early goal, it kind of threw the game plan out the window. Because in Newcastle can kind of manipulate where the game wanted to go, and then the red card made it even worse. And I think the second half we did do well to stay in the game and to compete. But at the end of the day, it was little too late. So I did expect to lose. So like you said, I didn't really see that game as the most pivotal game. I was hoping that Aston Villa wouldn't beat Bournemouth.
Mm.
Unfortunately, they did, which now means as it stands, we need to win both our games. Because I think if Aston Villa drop any points, we can afford a draw on at Forest, which could benefit us a lot. So it's in the balance, man. And are you how are you feeling overall these two games? Do you feel like we can show mentality and get through, obviously in the title, or do you feel like crunch time hits and we're going to see much the same in the past 2 years? Do you think Chelsea, what you saw in the second half, what you saw against Fulham second half, Liverpool at home and Everton at home, do you feel like we've changed a bit, or do you feel like it's just too little, too late? Because it is not hands. It's not in
Mm.
the hands. It's not hands. So what do you think?
Yeah, I think we're really lucky actually that it is still in our hands because again, it's like these lifelines that we keep getting given, but unfortunately,
Yeah,
you do actually have to make something of that. You know, it's not just handed to you on a silver plate. So, actually, we'll find out a lot about Chelsea in these last two games, probably more than we've actually learned this season. I think that second half does give me a bit of confidence because the players didn't just fold really. Like, it's very easy. You're there, that atmosphere's going.
100%. Yeah.
It's very easy to just kind of capitulate and say, you know what, if we lose 1 or 3, does it make a difference? And
Mm.
it does actually. So I'm glad that the players still had a little bit of fight there. And you know what? I genuinely thought between the 70th, 80th minute, we could have gotten our equaliser, but we just weren't clinical. And then obviously that 2-0 came and it was kind of game over. But I look at the United's game, to be honest, it concerns me a little bit. I know Man United aren't good,
Oh,
but
you're concerned about the game.
well,
Wow.
I'll tell you what, I'm concerned purely from a perspective of, no matter how bad United are, they were bad when we went to Old Trafford. They were bad when they came to Stamford Bridge last year. They just always seem to be, do you know what I mean, rejuvenated when they play Chelsea. And like from a sort of informed perspective, we're definitely the team that has the advantage. They're probably going to have one eye on that Europa League final. They don't have anything to fight for in the league. So by all means, this is Chelsea's game to win. Like this is definitely one that we need to be taking seriously. I think, we can still do it. I'm a bit apprehensive. Do you know what I mean? But the Nottingham Forest game as well, like I was quite disappointed when we drew to them earlier in the season. In hindsight, a draw was probably a good result because they went on to beat a lot of the top teams this season.
Mhm.
So that's going to be a season finale in itself, like their fans are going to be well up for it. Can be a hostile place if they make it. But like I said, this is the Man United game. If we lose it, I don't know, because there's no words in me if we lose against Man United. Do you know what I mean? But it's our last home game. The fans will be well up for it. We'll definitely make it a good atmosphere. So hopefully, we can get over the line. But we should be winning it. We should.
Yeah, obviously that's the PTSD talking, obviously,
Yeah,
because
exactly.
Chelsea last few years we've got to beat Man U. They're rubbish. They're on the floor. And we
Yes,
never seem to win.
yes.
Like
No.
that's why now we're meaning in everyone in the chat. We're just reserved to just saying it's going to be a tough game. Let's see, because early in the season, everybody was saying you must
Yeah.
beat United. You must beat United. And literally,
And we
Chelsea.
made them look really good at Old Trafford, didn't we?
Typical Chelsea. I've been saying it. We just gift teams. Like we just.
Hmm.
What is it about us? We just. By
It's
the
like
way,
if you're low of confidence, come to Chelsea. We'll give you a little
Tonali
bit.
hadn't scored. Who scored Tonali, right? The first goal. He hadn't scored in
Tonali.
like 20 games. And then, of course, Chelsea rock up and he scores a goal, innit? And then Bruno just has to score a deflected goal. It's like typical Chelsea, innit? But yeah,
Yeah.
I thought we'll beat United, but I think it's the Forest game. Whether they've got something to play for or not, I don't know. Like, anyhow, Aston Villa win. By the way, Aston Villa, for context, have Spurs and
And
United
United.
going after the final. And I can't see them dropping points to any of them.
Nah,
The
neither
only
do I.
hope I have, Nina, is if Man United do win the Europa League, they're going to be up for that last game at home, a little send off, probably do like a not trophy parade, but they'll like celebrate the win with the fans.
Mm.
Of course, they'll be in Spain for the final, so I want to do it in front of the fans. So maybe they'll get a result then. But even then, we're relying on other people again. So
Mhm.
it's just jarring. If we just done our job, I know it's if but to maybe. If we just done our job,
Yeah.
we wouldn't be in this mess. So that's where the next section's on the ownership, man. Got a lot of news today. Someone put in the chat earlier, put up on the screen about Hoyson apparently going to Madrid or Liverpool or Arsenal. Then you got Hato, then you got Sesko. Do you feel like I already know your thoughts, but I want to get to the viewers as well. What's your thoughts on these signings when they get in the summer? Is it much of the same? Is it going to be different? It's looking like much of the same,
Much
isn't
of
it?
the same. Yeah, you're probably right. I don't have much faith that something different happens, really, or something we haven't seen before. Like, I think Chelsea have pretty much made it quite clear the direction they head in when it comes to these transfers. But the one thing that brings me a little bit of confidence is I like to believe that if we get Champions League football, then maybe we kind of, do you know what I mean? Like, actually approach the window a little bit differently, because if, you know, with whatever has happened with Jackson this season, if that's not a pointer enough to tell you, you need to go out there and actually sign a very experienced striker who can come in and elevate us immediately, rather than a Jackson 2.0 when he arrived, then, you know, we're in
100%. Yeah.
trouble. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I
I
kind
know
of want to give him the benefit of the doubt. Like, if we get Champions League football, then maybe we go into this window being very serious, seeing that what we did in this campaign, in the Premier League campaign, barely got us over the line to get Champions League football. So if we're going there to compete with the very best in Europe, you've got to, you know, you've got to stack up this team a whole lot more and make some additions that will actually take us to a higher level, because what we have currently isn't going to cut it. Like, we are all realistic enough to understand that, right? So unfortunately, like you said there, with Hoyson potentially going to Madrid, he's also being looked at by Liverpool, and I think they're probably the more serious Premier League team to go in for him, if we have to be completely honest, this summer. But, you know, it does beg the question, if we don't make Champions League football, we can only dream of some of these signings, because, yeah, Hoyson's 19, but if he's got Madrid knocking on the door, Liverpool, who have just won the league, like, his head's going to turn. Do you know what I mean? He's not really going to be enticed by a projects that we've got going on here at Chelsea. So we absolutely, like, Champions League football is great for the fans, but we really need it from a standpoint of buying players and attracting players this summer as well.
yeah,
So
100%, yeah.
like, it's
And
like, yeah, we have to. We have to.
yeah, and to piggyback on that, it's like they have identified good talents. Don't get it twisted. Like the whole
Mm,
fan base is in uproar with I was talking about this earlier when I was cooking through Duran and
yes.
Samu. All these signings. Oh, what's the other one? Gordon. When we were linked to
Mm,
Gordon, everyone was like, Gordon for 50 million. And now look. So we can't have it
yeah.
both ways. We've got to give fair criticism and also praise where they've identified good players. But guess what? Like Elise, they couldn't get over the line for one reason or another. And my opinion is like what you said is UCL. Because the
Mm,
wage bracket is so stingy, is because we're not
yeah.
in the UCL. They're not willing to go far and beyond. I do believe, in my opinion, because the wages go up by 25% or 30% of the current players we have, I do think with Champions League football, they will be able to attract players and go the extra mile to spend the money. But unfortunately, because we're in the Conference League and out of Europe, it's not really been there. They're not being willing to do that, and that's on them for taking the risk. But that's also what you said with the attractiveness of the club. Because at the end of the day, if you're Elise, Bayern Munich or Chelsea, they're offering you 50 grand more and UCL and the starting position. It makes sense. So for many reasons, we have to get UCL football.
Yes.
And I fear if we don't, there's going to be a lot of like low budget players, a lot of like risk players where it's like they may be hit off. And even then, players like Delap might go, nah, rather go United, innit? They might win
Mm,
something. Or Hato might go Arsenal instead. Come out. I'd rather rotate with Saliba and Gabriel than go Chelsea, where they might not even make UCL next year. You see?
yeah.
So it's very much in the balance. And obviously a lot of the Chelsea fans don't like the model. I don't mind the model, in my opinion, but I'd rather execute it in a better way. That makes sense, with more experience and more leaders in the team. But what's your thoughts on the ownership? Do you also agree with me where you like the model, just not the execution, or do you not like the model at all? What's your thoughts on that?
I don't mind the model, but I think it's got flaws that actually need to be addressed in order for it to work. So I get the model, but I think, you know, I'm probably one of the biggest advocates for bringing in experience through the door, and I understand that that's not necessarily what the owners or recruitment based off track records have been doing. Oh, sorry, I can hear my feedback. Oh, I think it's gone now. I think it's all right. So based off the track record, it doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence that, you know, we'll go and buy experienced players. I know experience gets thrown around lightly, but I feel like for me, that's bringing in someone who can actually, like you mentioned, all the what if potential signings we make, someone that can tie them in or they can learn from someone, because I still think we're lacking that guy. And like, when we let go of Thiago Silva, we never even replaced a fraction of that. And, you know, me and Don were actually back and forth about this, Ches, where he thought that, like, you know, bringing in Tosin was actually bringing in some experience. And for me, that isn't quite what I have envisioned.
You need quality and experience. You need both.
Exactly. So I'm all for buying young, exciting talent, but they have
Austin
to
is literally a squad player. He's what you bring in as like a squad filler. We need, if we have 3 injuries, 2 of our main centre backs, another centre back, he plays, and he's on cheap wages. Cool. But he's not someone you bring in as a starting. And on that, actually, I was going to ask you a question. In hindsight, I think the last summer window was more squad fillers than ceiling raisers.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I think the ownership banked on the idea that Lavia, Jackson, Fofana would either not get injured or increase their levels. So they've just got squad fillers like Jorgensen and Tossins to back them. And that idea works if the quality of the first teamers was good in the first place. But they proved not to be. And there was a huge gamble that they would improve. And so in disruption, I just thought about that.
No, you're spot on with that. I entirely agree. And that just kind of goes to show it was poor planning from their side of things, because, you know, there you are, you're building around players who are, you know, they can't really promise you more than like 5 to 10 games of consistent play. And, you know, you're expecting that to be your spine. That is absurd. And, you know, obviously we don't know what's happening with Reece James, but, you know, he's not been in training today. So again, you know, we love Reece James. We like Fofana. He's a good player. We obviously love Lavia, but again, these are players that are in and out, and you can't rely on building the team around them. So again, that is poor planning from their side of things. With Jackson, that's probably the most kind of gaping hole at you there. You know, you envisioned that he would be the only one. You envisioned him to be the most senior kind of striker, the one that you'd count on all season. But again, like, I can't say that. I know a lot of people will argue that he has improved, but for me, like, Jackson's conversion rate is as equally as frustrating as it was last season. Like, yes, I know he has scored some goals, but, you know, he's missed, I think I've read something like 19 big chances this season. And those chances, you're talking, potentially put us in the mix of being further up in a confident, comfortable for top 4 finish this season, as opposed to fighting for a top 5 place at the very death of the campaign. So I still have an issue with that. But then again, you know, people said, oh, you know, we'll blame Jackson if we don't finish in the top 5. I get that, because over the course of the season, he could have helped more. But again, who put him in that position of being our number 9 in the first place, being the first pick? Like, Jackson should always have come in as the second to someone else, or have someone else with him so he could learn from, not be the number 1. And that's where it kind of got wrong from the start. So, and, you know, they had the opportunity to fix that last summer, and they didn't, Ches, did they? They continued on the way they did the season they brought him in. So
that's what I say, with Devin, and I said it's a bit of both. So, for example, use the analogy. If me and you right now are streaming and 3,000 people rock up in here, we will realize we need to start doing more content here, because it clearly works. We get paid from it. It's successful. That does mean that we're not going to be perfect at our jobs. We're going to be new. And there are going to be teething issues at first, because we're brand new to this. 3,000 people in here every day. It's going to be pressure. We're going to have to learn the job. At the end of the day, we necessarily shouldn't have been in a position to be here anyway in the first place. So there's a bit of both, where Jackson himself hasn't performed, but at the same time, it's not on him that he hasn't performed, because he shouldn't be in a position where he's frustrated to perform anyway. Exactly. So that's where I think there's a balance here where, yes, Jackson shouldn't be here starting, but when he has played, let's not act like he's not being average. Because, for example, there's other players like Caicedo or Palmer's or Enzo's recently, or even Chalobah when he steps in, where they've actually come in young as well, but they've actually stepped up and performed. And that kind of proves they can deal with the pressure and deal with the level. So I think it's twofold. And the point I'm trying to make is we can't be relying on him next season because clearly, whatever way you want to look at it, whether it's their fault or his fault, it's not working.
Yeah.
So whatever way you want to skin the cat, it needs to get cut. Like we need to get a new striker in. And someone linked with conversation we've done swiftly there is Sesko. What do you feel on Sesko being the link? Because apparently Gyökeres isn't coming to Chelsea, he's going to Arsenal. Then you've got who else is it? Delap looks like he's favouring United. So what do you think about Sesko? Do you know much about him, or is it a case of another young?
I can't lie and say I've watched an awful lot. I think he has a really mad release clause, if I'm not wrong, though. I think it's something quite crazy. There is always the doubt of him moving to the Premier League, and it's not exactly like he has a very extensive CV of what he has scored. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, he comes to the Premier League, does he replicate those numbers? So he's certainly not in the standouts. Like, for me, someone that I'm a lot more familiar with and I can say probably has a less what if is definitely Gyökeres, but that just seems like a very kind of fairy tale prospects that's probably not going to happen.
I'm living in my hopes.
But he's certainly the striker that's on the top of my list. You know, I like Osimhen, but I always said Osimhen's never come into Chelsea. For me, that's just you know, that's a fairy tale in itself as well. Like we had an opportunity, if we wanted to yes, change our wage structure ever so slightly. It was always about how badly did you want him? Because again, you know, you pay for what you get. Like Osimhen is one of the hottest out there. You know that he's got a proven track record. You're not looking at a striker who's had 1 or 2 good seasons. You know, he's done it over the course of 5-6 years. He's done it at Napoli. He's won a league in Turkey, whatever. So there's less of a risk factor with that. But you know what it takes. And his terms were very clear. If we didn't really want to go in for him, you know, I don't really believe we would have left it to deadline day. You don't sign a player like Osimhen on deadline day. Like it should have been done at the very start if it was going to happen. So that tells me that, you know, it never will be. Liam Delap, I can't lie, I'm not a big fan, to be honest with you. Like I'm fine with the thought, but for me, if Delap comes in, someone else has to come in too. Like he's not the one who solves the problem. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like I like Delap, but I can't help but just think, you know, yes, great, he's done it at Ipswich. It's just 1 year. Again, he's someone that still quite young. He's got a good I'm really like kind of drawing at straws here. Like he's
I know you're trying to find positives and you don't really see.
Yeah, but I can't say I'm too completely keen on him. And again, like I like to think a club like Chelsea, we just should be looking for something just a little bit further above than that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does make sense. I think Delap's got good qualities. I've always said if you bring him in, I wouldn't be disappointed. But I agree with you where if he's relied upon, I can't guarantee he's going to get the goals we need to push us for Champions League. And if we do make Champions League, is he going to be good enough? At least Sesko, Ekitika had experience in Europe. At least have got experience in Europe where they can handle some sort of pace of it, pressure. Delap's got none of that. He's just come from the Championship, Premier League first season where he's done good, not great. He's done good, right? Ipswich Town. And now he's going to get
hard to stand out in a team like that, though. Do you know what I mean? I think maybe that this is to say, but obviously, I think that hype has been a little bit elevated because it's easy to kind of shine in a team where everyone else is performing a level below, if that makes sense. Like, obviously, we know Ipswich is a team; they've been levels below a lot of the Premier League teams this season. Like, let's be real, they are well.
You're going to look, by default, better than the rest. Obviously, you stand out. Yeah, doesn't mean you're not saying he's a bad player. You're just saying
no, not at all. No.
Someone said, we'll speak up Kevin in the chat. Can you please keep Chilwell and get Chalobah back, please? We're definitely getting rid of Chilwell this summer. And Chalobah, I think Nina's already confirmed he's going. So he was always going to go. We just brought him back for numbers because Fofana, shock, surprise, got injured.
Horror.
Wow. I never saw that coming.
No.
Jeez. But yeah, and last question is, we're going back a bit, but looking ahead is at the end of the title. Season's on a knife edge, right? So top 5 is literally in our hands. The Conference League final, literally in our hands. Are you not even confident? Do you think we can achieve both objectives? And if we did, how does the outlook of the season really look? So once we do, Whilst no, we don't. I want to get your views because I know you've only got like 10 minutes left. So if we do make top 5 in the Conference League, how would you view the manager, team? Would you still reservations, etc.? And if we don't make it, would you be cutthroat, etc.?
So to answer the question, will we? I think the false optimist is always going to say yes in me because
Course,
I'm a
yeah.
match day going fan. I always say, if it like, what's the point of thinking it's over before it's done? Like, let's just see how it plays out. I think we can absolutely do it. And again, I don't know if it's a blessing or a curse that we play Forest the very last day, but again, that is the reason that it is in our hands. So actually, it's probably more of a blessing. I think we can do it. I think we absolutely can. And what my view would be on the team, the manager, and everyone, great, job done. You got Champions League, got back into the Champions League, and you won the Conference League, and nothing more than that, because that was the objective. It was achieved. Yes, it may have not been as easy and smooth sailing, but it got us where we needed to be. Then my next thing will be, how do you approach the transfer window? Like, that for me is the biggest thing I'm looking towards, because it's fun. It's all great getting there. We want to be in the Champions League, but it's different gravy getting there and playing in those games. And obviously with how the new format plays, you'd certainly have to step up, and you're going to play a lot of games, and you're not going to have an A team and a B team. So you better start building well, and you better start planning well. So for me, finishing the top 5.
I remember that night. Beginning of the season, we play A team in the Conference League, and B team in the Conference League, A team in the league, and then we're going to win both.
Yeah. Oh, we got a C team as well. Oh God.
Ozan said, "Yo, Ches, should the winner between Spurs and United go straight into UCL or play in qualifying?" No, unfortunately, they actually get straight into the pot. That's it. Not the highest pot. I think pot 3, whatever it is, one of the lowest pots, obviously, because they come through Europa League. But yeah, it's peak. There could potentially be. No, there is going to be 6 teams in the UCL next year.
Yeah,
there's going to be 6 English teams. Be up Teo for the love as well, Tanina, of course, every single time.
Thank you.
And yeah, it's peak. 6. Can you imagine that? 6 English teams.
It is crazy. Yeah.
Like, that is mad. Like,
I know, but that's even more reason that we need to get in the Champions League.
Could you imagine 6 teams and we're not one of them?
And we're not one of them.
Like, what are we doing here?
Our ancestors will be rising from their graves.
Aston Villa or Forest will be in there, and we won't. That just stinks. It just doesn't make any sense.
Mental.
Nazar, who's fairly reliable, even Victor Osimhen from Napoli isn't being ruled out the stage. But Chelsea fans' wage demands prohibitive when negotiating for him last summer. I think, to be fair, Nina made a point, which I disagree with a little bit, where he was demanding 250 guaranteed plus bonuses. I don't know about that. By the way, I agree with your point about us being stingy, because I agree. But in terms of him in isolation, that is a bit much. Or do you not think so?
What do you mean?
He was basically, we wouldn't mind giving him 250. That included bonuses, appearances, etc. during the week. But he wanted 250 flat, not including said bonuses. So he wanted basically 250 with the goals on top, so he could go up to like 300, whatever it is. But we were basically offering up to 250, including those. I don't know.
Yeah. I think there's 2 sides to it, because again, it comes down to how badly do you want him, because I think, obviously the whole new sort of wage structure we implemented, and we wanted to kind of incentivize things, so you play well, you win things, you get more money. That's how it kind of rolls. And from one side of things, I did like the fact that we didn't just completely like fold that new sort of direction that we went in with the wage structure just for Victor Osimhen, because of his crazy demands, because then again, that just goes against what we're trying to do here. But like, let's not pretend that we don't need him. That's what annoys me as well, because you know what I mean, he comes in and he elevates you. There's less of that risk factor, so it also comes down to like, how badly do you want it? And I think at some point we're still going to have to change our wage structure for that guy, whoever that guy is that is going to come in, and if he elevates us, if he makes us better, we're going to be in the Champions League, for goodness sake. Like, you're not just going to buy all the wonder kids and get all the free players out there in the summer and hope that they're going to get you over the line to compete in knockout football in the Champions League. Like, that's just not how it's going to happen. So at some point, we are going to have to go away from what we've just done in regards to our wage structure for at least anyone. And a lot of people will argue that Osimhen deserves to be that player, if that makes sense.
Yeah. So what you said is literally confirmed. They've literally come out and said, Matt Law said, if Chelsea see an opportunity to get someone, they will break the wage structure to get them. But in my opinion, I don't think they'd rather do that with someone like Rodrigo because he's younger and he's got that younger tag development rather than someone who's in their prime. Does that make sense? So if Gyökeres is 23, I think they would be willing to do with the same numbers. I think they'd be willing to do something like that with him because of his age. But unfortunately, they're so ageist. Dare I say it? You know what I'm saying? When it comes to signing players, that's a joke. People don't get triggered. It's a joke. Okay. That I don't know. They just wouldn't be able to do it. I still think they'll hopefully, like Hashim's saying, he deserves it. Turns in something similar way. He's going to be world class. I agree. I think he would suit the league. He's got the physical prowess. He's got the experience. He's won trophies. But they just don't agree the wages, man. Last question, Ina, to make it a difficult one, is what's happened to Cole Palmer? Cole Palmer. Do you know what I mean? Like, what the hell has happened to him?
What has happened to Cole Palmer? Well, I mean, I think he's he obviously played well against Liverpool, didn't he? He had a pretty good game. Yes, thank you very much, guys. Yeah, I think he had a good game. I think he is just really missing his clinical finishing. I think Cole Palmer still does shine in games where he's creating and stuff. Maybe those chance creation stats have gone down slightly, but I still think, you know, Palmer has always brought more than just goals and assist to the team. It's just about players who don't get on the end of those chances created. So Cole Palmer can't do it all. Do you know what I mean? So I think the very fact that us fans believe in him so much is credit to what he's done for Chelsea up until this point. Like, we're not gonna give up on him. Do you know what I mean? Like, like Cole Palmer is Cole Palmer, and I think, you know, he scored 4 against United, didn't he, last season over the whole course of the year, if I'm not wrong. Hat-trick at the Bridge, and didn't he score at Old Trafford? So, like, there you go. That's Cole Palmer for you. And I think, you know, if he can find his shooting boots in the last 2 games, that's probably going to mean more than that will make us forget the goal drought, if that makes sense, because these are the 2 most important games now. Get us some goals, you know, get us into top 5. Like, you're still going to be our hero. Do you know what I mean? It's like we've relied on him so heavily. If anyone was allowed to go on a bit of a dip, it was Palmer. Like, it just is a confidence thing. I'm glad that he is, you know, he scored some goals. I think he just needs to score some more. He'll be fine. I'm not worried about Palmer.
Yeah, I feel like Palmer can definitely improve. I don't think it's all been him. I think it has been the system as well. But him himself, he needs to step up. I think he's put his head down a bit too much. He's not taking much risk in terms of shooting and passing. And the thing is, even the system, I'm being a bit harsh because it's not like he's not getting in good positions. He missed against Everton a clear-cut chance against Southampton where he hadn't scored for a while. He missed a clear-cut opportunity where just 1-on-1. He missed a penalty as well. So I'm not really going to put it all on him, you know. I think it's a bit lazy if people just blame him or the manager.
100%.
And I feel like people giving up on him. Like, I know Musti's been facetious here. He's making a joke, so he gets some profit selling. But obviously, no one's saying that yet. But if that's happened next season now, then it becomes a bit of a awkward conversation because no one wants to get rid of him. But you can't be having a guy who scored X amount of goals last season on not performing to levels. And hopefully with Esteval coming in, we get a winger coming in, it proves the output of the team. So it's not much reliance on him. Because this is what happens, for example, with Salah at Liverpool. If Salah drops off, the team's going to look completely different, right? So people start pointing fingers going, what are you doing? What are you doing? But naturally, when Salah takes all the goals, it kind of pavers over the cracks. When the team's not scoring goals and Palmer's not performing, what happens? They blame Palmer. So that's where we need a bit of balance. Big up DJ Sab, great seeing you on here, of course, every single time. Palmer's been relied on, like I just said. So whenever he doesn't play well, fans will get triggered, like I just said as well. Saying him's not the answer. Being the spot on about Palmer, 100%. If he plays the same as this season, we may have to sack the manager. I mean, not just on Cole Palmer. You know,
No. But I do think that I do get the argument that maybe Maresca has hindered part of Cole Palmer's best sort of game, you know, because I think, you know, a lot of sort of towards like this was more kind of before the bad run began, you know, when we were inverting Malagusto was kind of occupying Cole Palmer's spaces and he was getting kind of pushed out further away onto the left. We know that Cole Palmer has been very, very creative and crucial down the right. It's why he was obviously linking well with Jackson and Madueke at the start of the season. But, you know, obviously, like with how good Palmer is, of course, teams are going in. They're going to double up on Palmer. Like managers are going to instruct their players to be particularly vigilant with Cole Palmer. Like, that's just what happens when you are as good as you are. So I just think that, you know, like it's a series of many things, and of course like players are going to go through bad patches where they're not scoring goals, but when you are as good as you are, I think Cole Palmer should probably just actually take it as a compliment, because when great players go missing for a few games, they instantly get called out for, do you know what I mean, like being bad or going like, you are as good as you are, you're going to get a big magnifying glass on you every single time. So I think that's actually just goes to show how brilliant Cole Palmer's been for us. But yeah, I don't doubt he'll be back. He's still playing well. I would have given him the man of the match performance without the goal as well, without scoring that penalty, and that just goes to show again, brilliant. Yeah,
100%. There's the element of truth to this as well. Nina's spot on when it comes to performing against Liverpool. I wouldn't say that game was chaos, so we can't use that argument whenever it suits us. But I do understand that certain players thrive when the system is more free, a bit more freedom, elasticity in that regard. So I understand that point. But at the same time, I think he needs to put his head up. Ego plays a part, right? If you perform so good, naturally you believe in your own hype. So I'm not saying he's all ego, but you scored Young Player of the Season, one of the best players in Europe, one of the best players in the world, in your first ever full season. You're naturally going to feel that type of way. So hopefully he can get back. And guess what, Nina? We're going to need him because Jackson's no longer here. There's no focal point. I think Neto, let's briefly talk on the game. I don't think we'll speak for Friday. I think Neto will go up front against Man United. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree.
You'll probably start Sancho or George on the left and put Neto up front.
I don't think Sancho can play, apparently. I don't think he's eligible.
Oh, yeah, you're right. He's on loan.
Yeah.
He can't play.
So
who's it gonna? Why am I gone blank?
Well, I mean, you're kind of stuck for choice because if you obviously play Neto
oh my gosh, he might play Palmer right wing.
And that's what I was going to say. Yeah.
Which is
because then otherwise, I don't think he's got the. Oh, you never know. Actually, Maresca's shown that he can surprise us sometimes. I don't think he'll start Tyreek George, but it's a possibility.
Or what he might do is he might play a right back, then put Caicedo in midfield. So midfield stays the same. George and then Madueke.
Yeah. Potentially. And you could probably argue that should be enough, in my opinion. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I don't really like the thought of putting pressure on a 19-year-old Tyreek George because, again, that's on recruitment. That just brings back the issue in the first place. Like, we have this having to grind out some results for us, score some goals. But, yeah, I don't know. I think Man United might be resting a couple players that they're definitely going to be looking towards that Europa League final. That's their final this year, and that's probably their biggest game, isn't it? So I don't know. I like to think that we'll go out strong, but we just really need to score first and just kind of set the tone of the game and control things. But I say that we were 2-0 up at Stamford Bridge last year, and then again it came down to scoring 2 goals in extra time. So I don't know.
That game was so mad as well. Luckily, we got the wing. Before we go, we'll go through the league table quickly, see what we need, and then I'll shout Nina's channel. We'll get out of here. Speak up to the chat. I accidentally put it on kids mode earlier. Someone messaged me saying, "Chelsea, put it on kids mode. We can't message." My bad for earlier. But we need. It's crazy. We'll briefly go through what we need. So basically, if we can see his table clearly in front of you, essentially, Nina, you already know this, but just for the chat as well. Because Chelsea and Villa are tied on points, we obviously both need to win the next game, but we need Aston Villa to drop points, hopefully against Spurs and United. I think if they do that, Chelsea will only need a draw against Forest to get top 5. So it's not terrible, but I think, in my opinion, Nina, just to end off on our stream, I do feel like if we need to win against Forest, I don't think we'll do it, you know.
Yeah,
know.
I see that. It's a lot of
Typical
pressure to add
Chelsea,
to your
innit?
very
Like,
last
yeah.
game. It's a lot of pressure. And that's the thing, like, we've not really seen these players in these kind of big moments. Like, it's been difficult. We have risen to some occasions, but especially in top games or especially in must-win games, that whole little pressure seems to get to our heads before we even kick off the game. So I do get that. That's a lot of pressure to go into that game away from home, especially. And again, Forest can be a hostile ground. Their fans are, like, let's be real, maybe whether they believed or not that they could get in the top 5, they've had a fantastic season for their standards. Like, they're still going to be very much well and up for welcoming Chelsea and ending that on a high, on a win. So that is going to be very difficult, in my opinion. I think we failed big time if it gets to that point. Do you know what I mean? Like, we have to beat United, and we have to certainly have a good run at Forest.
I feel like United has to be a W, of course. Be a Godfrey for the love as well. Thanks everyone. Show love to me, Nina, man. We don't stream a lot. Hopefully, Nina can come back. Hopefully,
Yeah, it's been
the
good.
show. It's been a good stream, man. But let's put Nina's channel here, very, very clearly there. You can just literally highlight that if you're in your TVs, whatever. You can just save that as well. Nina does content on her own channel and also Chelsea Fan TV as well. With Nina features on a lot. You do podcasts on there, right? Interviews after games.
Yes.
So you can find Nina there. And of course, here as well on other channels as well.
Subscribe to Ches as well, guys. Make sure you hit the button.
Of course, got to be a bit, you know what I'm saying, social my end. Subscribe to the channel. Where's my little thing gone? There you go. Subscribe. Love everyone to join the chat as well. A lot of people during the midday. I know that you work and stuff. But bit everyone in the chat when we're out of here. See you tomorrow as well, 3:30 back for another stream. Hope we get Nina in next week, maybe after the game. And hopefully it's a W, man. In a bit, guys. Safe. Hit a like button.